Welcome to BourseTV, where we illuminate the success of companies big and small. I'm Rod North. Today, we have the pleasure of having Dennison Hambling, Managing Director of Intelligent Monitoring Group, ASX ticker code IMB, back on the news desk. Welcome, Dennison.
Hi, Rod. Thank you.
Dennison returns to the show after recording a very impressive 2024 of achieving many key milestones for the company and recording a very credible increase in the share price over 2024. This is a company that has grown both organically and strategically over the past 3 years by cleverly seeking out earnings accretive and synergistic acquisitions in the security services business. The market cap of the company has grown from sub 50 million to around 180 million and rising. The company now has a significant war chest available to continue along the path and growth trajectory after announcing its refinancing of debt. In the meantime, to begin our discussion today, can you please explain, Dennison, to the BourseTV audience what Intelligent Monitoring Group does and how it currently is positioned in the security services market in Australia and New Zealand?
Sure thing. Thanks, Rod. So Intelligent Monitoring Group, or IMG, is the largest security services provider in Australasia. We operate in Australia and New Zealand. We've got a core customer base of just under 200,000 customers. Most of those customers are they're residential, small business through to large commercial enterprise customers, where we either run access control systems, which is a historic part of the business that has been the real acceleration in our business as we return to that, through to security monitoring systems, where we're providing anything from an in-home, back-to-base alarm, through to businesses and their back-to-base alarms. So there's really sort of two components to our business as I think about it. There's the commercial enterprise part, which really comes under our ADT business that we acquired. And then there's the monitoring part, which manifests itself in a couple of different ways in our business, whether it's our IMS business, which has wholesale monitoring, through to ADT, which has monitored customers too. Both of those two pillars are the pillars of growth for us and what we're looking to do. And I think, to answer your question best, this is an industry that hasn't had leadership for a generation of technology, if I put it that way. So if you go back in the past, there used to be names, Chubb, ADT was one, that were clear leaders. Honeywell, I think as technology has evolved, the large end of the industry actually didn't keep up. And in Australasia particularly, they were owned by large multinationals, which created a gap for a very large, small-scale industry to develop. Lots of, I don't like the name mum and pop business, but regional, businesses, state-based businesses to develop, some really high-quality businesses, which is a bit unnatural for most service-type industries. And so really what our mission is to create a leading security services provider using the latest technology into commercial enterprise customers through down into residential and everyday sort of people and customers.
People sort of know the security industry is a pretty disparate industry with lots of players. Yep. And obviously over the last few years, you've looked very closely at the opportunities to acquire some of those businesses. Because you can just talk us through, what you look for and how you target those, and is there still value at the moment in that sector?
Well, I think I've been reflecting on this. It's been a real evolution for us. If you go back to when I principally took over really the business 2 odd years ago, what we've been focused on doing is buying existing customer bases, cheaply and trying to acquire scale. Now the problem was the core service itself was probably dated, so there's value in that, and we helped build our business in that. But what we've been able to do through that time is actually come up using the latest technology and bringing it together. And there's sort of secret sauce in this. Like, it isn't as easy as you probably think. It's a bit like a telco. Everyone knows how a phone works, but to actually make the phone work and at scale across everywhere in Australia is a complicated technical challenge. As we've gone through that journey, we're now focused on growth into what is a completely new proposition. And so what that's meant is, as we look at acquisitions, what we're really looking for is skilled people to help us unlock the opportunity. So we've gone from buying customer bases particularly through to now really, yes, we are picking up good long-term customers, particularly in the commercial space, but really into high-quality people. And so again, if you take the view, we're trying to become the leading service provider in this industry moving forward. And I'd liken it to say, accounting or financial planning or law or whatever, if you're trying to create a Mellison's or a Deloitte or a type player, and that doesn't exist in our industry at the moment, then you need good quality people. So we're really focused on building out our network of technicians with quality customer bases. And to answer your question, yes, values for those businesses are holding. We are very disciplined. Because one of the benefits of being public is people know what we've paid, and I always refer to people, and I have a lot of inbound people, seeking us out to see if we'd like to transact or work with them. And I say we don't need to talk about price because you know what the max we'll pay is, and yes. So we haven't had any issues with that at all yet.
But you haven't had to pay high multiples, have you?
No. The highest
that
multiple
hasn't changed in the
well, look, I'll put it a different way. We just won't.
Yep.
And do we need to now? Well, we're past the point of having to acquire to build this business, to build our strategy. We're in a beautiful, we've reached that real position now where, yes, we've done M&A and built our business, but we're actually in a position where we don't need to do it anymore. Now, will we do it? Yes, we will, if we get the right opportunity and it allows us to accelerate our growth and improve our strategic position and offer, but we don't have to. So, if anybody came to me looking for a price above what we paid, it's a very simple conversation. But they know that, and so therefore, and I think probably to overemphasise the point, what I'm really, you mentioned the 2024 year, if you look at the couple of acquisitions we've done there, which were all based around high quality technicians with existing long-standing customer bases, and then using that to unlock our overall network effect. They're great businesses. We're not having, when I walk into those businesses on day one and they look at me to say what's going to happen, I go, well, we're not here to change you. Yeah. We're here to enable you and to try to find ways to work better together. But we're not here to tell you what to do. You know what to do. What we're here to do is to unlock the opportunity, which is really exciting, I think, for them as well.
And in Australia, compared to the US or other places around the world which you would have experienced, we've been a bit slow at adopting what we need to in the security sense. And a lot of people are still just familiar with a sensor and an alarm.
Yeah.
But it goes a lot further than that. What do you sort of have to say?
No. Look, true, absolutely right. So I think, here's the rub. So with technology today, you can have driverless cars, but we are also, most businesses probably still do manual timesheets. So we're in a world where the potential of what you can do versus what people are doing is actually pretty vast in lots of places. And I think the thing here is because there's been no leadership, what has happened, again, if you're a small business, you have a product and a supplier and a way of doing things and a customer that comes asking, for a result, they have a need, you just meet it. Whereas what we're aiming to do is flip and have relationships with our customers who look, yeah, we can do what you're asking us to do, but hey, by the way, we can also do all these other things that could add value to you. So you move into this, overused word solutions, but you are. It's look, the technology guys, as I talk to the customers, will allow us to do a lot more than probably actually what you're asking for. It hasn't, it's only really just getting there now, but let's have a wider conversation. That's what the leadership piece wasn't doing. And again, it's very understandable. If you go back to the major guys that were the leaders, they all had their own technology. So as it's evolved, if they haven't evolved at the speed of the rest of the industry and they're still only selling it, well, the leaders are only selling one system. This is how you do it. This is how we've all done. This is all we'll do. And it didn't make the jump. Whereas in the rest of the world, there was a lot more, competition, access to capital, openness to adapt and evolve. But I would say, because it's a line and you've known the story for a while, Rod, I've been pushing this line of this difference between the world. I mean, what really excites us as a business, and you can feel it in our business now, is we're starting to meet the world. And I think almost in some cases move ahead of it, and I think we can. I think we can actually become a global leading service provider. Now that doesn't mean we're going to go global, but it means that if you come to Australia, look for a service, you're going to get as good a service and solution as you'll get anywhere in the world as we move forward. So it's pretty exciting for the team.
And you've been pretty innovative with bringing in new areas which are preventative for security with your new. Do you want to just?
Oh, look, look, as it relates to the pure security monitoring piece, now I'm very aware, I always ask people, and I'll ask you, Rod, do you have a home alarm that goes back to base?
Yes,
I do. I do. All right. Well, you would be one of the few people that I do, and that's fabulous. And what that offers, what that does for you is that when you set that alarm and you go out, when you come home, no one's been in your house. And or if you're asleep and it goes off, that maybe something's giving you a little bit of early warning. It doesn't do much more than that though, which is why people don't, chase it. Sometimes insurance companies, certainly in commercial, it's very common, and there's an insurance value to commercial. The real fundamental problem though is that when that alarm goes off, we respond, and we have a fabulous response rate. The guys are highly skilled, they do a great job. The problem is that they're submarine radar technicians, if you think about it. They're sitting there and they see an alarm's gone off. Oh, Rod's house has gone off. They probably know it's your kitchen.
Yep.
Great. That's all they know. And by the way, it could be your cat, it could be a false, it could be a whole lot of things that could have done it, but something's happened. So you have to verify the event. If we called the police and say, hey, Rod's kitchen alarm's gone off, they're going to go, look, so's Bob and Sally's, and you have to give us some more information. So therefore what we do is we say, Rod, we'll probably contact you and we'll send out a guard. Say, look, we need to send someone out to check it out. And what that means is that for a customer, you end up paying money for a call out. And then when the call out happens, it's like, well, what's the result? Well, okay, if it's an unsecured site, we can put someone there to keep it secure. So it's now unsecured, we'll secure it. Great, that is probably all right. But most of the time they're turning up, there's nothing. They're turning up late, slow, for nothing.
So that's where a camera could make a big difference?
That's where the new technology comes in. So we've now got to this era where with cameras, we are able, being in the business, is able to monitor off those cameras, should you wish. Now, I recognise inside a residential home environment, this doesn't sound exciting, but if you're a business, a large business with lots of perimeter or whatever, this is what you want. And we are able to trigger events off those cameras. So we've talked for a long time, you and I, and our journey about cameras as alarms. So you mentioned sensor. So the sensor today, the sensor of tomorrow is really a camera. And the camera, the difference is the camera, you ask it, what are you looking for? And if the answer is, I'm looking for someone who comes into this house that I don't know, and I want someone to react to that, we can do that. That's the journey we're just starting now. And we have started that journey, and it's been incredibly successful at picking up crime in action and actually getting results, i.e. now we are able to call the police, and because we're a serious business with A1 graded control rooms, our operators live in bunkers, and it's through security doors and all the things that go with what we do as an industry or in our business. If we call the police and say, we actually see somebody on site that shouldn't be there, that is trespassing, that looks like they're committing a crime, the police will respond to us. And we've had a high degree of success very quickly at actually apprehending. But better than that, actually, and the customer feedback is, look, that's great. Like, we appreciate you, picking up criminals. What we also can do is we can deter. So our technology solutions now, and again, it's a little bit up to the customers how deep they want to go into this sort of thing, but we can actually deter live. So we can see somebody on site that shouldn't be there and tell them. So you shouldn't be here, we've called the police, and the results are night and day. So to go back to the start, I say people didn't tend to buy alarm systems because they're like, well, I'm not really sure why I'd have it. Now, if I tell you, well, it's because we can actually actively, police your property as if a physical guard was there, and we can do it for far less of a price than having a physical guard there, and we can show you results should there be an event and react quickly. We are finding an incredible uptake and enthusiasm for that, and that is really our future summed up. So,
taking it to a whole new level, isn't it? Security. People need to come up to speed with what's actually out there and available in the market.
Yeah, and I'll just add, like, we are being cautious about how we talk about this because it is a significant opportunity, but we have to deliver it, and we'd like to lead it, and we'd like to become the leader. And so, you won't hear, this is an investment discussion about our business. I'm being cautious about how widely we distribute what we can do at this point, because we want to build up, we want to grow in a measured, fast, measured, sustainable fashion that does the job. If I go out and sit in front of, Channel 9 News and say we have been catching criminals in act and getting convictions, I fear we'll be flooded in a way we can't handle, and ultimately means we won't get the best share and opportunity that we can get. So we are, we're obviously happy to talk about it, but we're also being a bit cautious because the growth for us is there.
Just moving to the financial position of the company, and you've recently put out a couple of reports. One key one's the quarterly, and obviously then it'll follow for the half yearly. Can you just give the audience a bit of an idea of how things have been tracking, post those acquisitions, and where you sort of see the financial position of the company going forward? Happy
to do that. So I think there's, we've been clear through this journey that we have been acquiring, and acquisitions have had sort of two effects. One is, say in the ADT case, we bought a business that needed to be turned around, and there were some structural issues in that business that we have remedied and are coming through, but it meant that the clear translation of cash was going to always take a bit of time. There's a lot of transaction costs, and we had to come off the JCI infrastructure and things, but we're through that now. And so the acquisition itself meant that we were highlighting that we're a strong cash business, but people were sort of not feeling like they could see it yet. The other thing was acquisitions themselves, because we have been acquiring at a reasonable velocity. Just the nature of that itself can impede your operating cash flow, because you buy a business, you pay a price, you have to adjust the working capital. That adjustment goes through your cash from operations line, whereas the purchase price and the offset for that working capital goes through your investment line. So it can look like you're not producing as much actual cash as the business actually is. So what we're really happy with is first quarter this year, we were bearing the last of the transition effects, the last of significant, some one-offs. We did do a bit of restructuring, redundancies, etc. And we made the case we generated positive operating cash flow as we showed, but we said, look, we are actually, at the end here, we're about to come. This quarter was the first quarter where you've started to be able to see that cleanly translate through. So you've gone from sort of a 1 million operating cash for the first quarter through to about 6 odd for the second, with 7 to 8, for the half year. And I think that 6 is the number that, starts to translate to what people have been expecting, and as we've been saying the business is, and is, in a way credentialed by the banking facility I'm sure we'll talk about coming in as it is. So, we're now moving into a much cleaner world where that cash does come through the business. And outside further acquisitions, and we have flagged that we've even raised money saying, look, there will be some more acquisitions in our control at the time that suits us, at the value that suits us, at the strategy that suits us, but we are prepared for that. That will have a bit of an impact moving forward. A little bit of, I would suspect there will still be some change costs, but it's relatively minor now in the scheme of a business that, we're guiding to our underlying business pre-acquisition effect of 38 million of EBITDA. That EBITDA is a pretty good proxy outside interest. We don't pay tax and won't for some time with the historic losses we're carrying. So, cash should be strong.
That sort of leads in well, doesn't it, to the announcement this week about the debt refinancing. We alluded to it at the start of our conversation about creating a war chest there for potential acquisitions. Just talk about how important that key milestone is for the company to refinance the debt, because that's been a really significant thing, and it's taken a while to get to this point, and congratulations, because it's no mean feat, is it? No.
Well, it's a building, like we've been, overnight 3-year success story, it's like everything in life, and we will be like that. That's building a business. But there's really two parts there. We've said I guess I'll step back. The facility we had priorly related to the acquisition of ADT, that was a phenomenal acquisition. It was a notionally $200 million deal that we got for $44 million. We got ourselves very well positioned. It was a 18-month journey to get into that position for that opportunity that we executed. That has been a key source of our value, drive the value uplift that we've had. But to do that deal, we weren't allowed to go to the equity market. We weren't allowed to so we had to go to the debt market, and we ended up with mezzanine debt that was expensive. It wasn't because that's what we wanted or necessarily had to have. It's the way we had to construct that deal. The new debt we brought in, as we've been saying, to people, and is like we are this industry, and our business is very senior financeable, and we've been very consistent saying that all the way through. So, I guess people have been, fairly wanting to see that. And so this new facility, so we were very focused on refinancing our existing debt. That was the focus. Now, what we found is not only was that very achievable as we've seen, but also there was a lot of appetite and senior debt level to follow us in acquisitions. And I think that's the surprising piece for the market from the announcement. We hadn't flagged that, and we were very, very happy to see the level of support. And so we actually had a very competitive senior bank process. There was a lot of interest in what we did. I was really heartened. It's very gratifying, but I wasn't surprised, but I was heartened by it. But I think that acquisition facility, so it puts us, so to answer your question, it's a $125 million facility. Yes. We needed $85 million to take the current term debt, senior. It's all senior. Same rate, interest rate across the facility. We have a bank guarantee facility, so we also get our bank guarantees back. It's about $2.5 million. Plus we get, the bank has kindly granted us a drawdownable acquisition facility of the balance, which I think is about $32.5 million. So combined with our cash, which at the moment is about $26 million, yes, we have a very solid kitty to pursue acquisition should we find the right pieces, and it's given us a bit more scope to look at what we do too. I'd make the point, actually, that in this, if you think of it this way, I guess since I've been running the business directly, I don't think we've invested more than $70 million of cash, and we're not that far off having that capacity now. So if you think of what we've done, from 70 mil, we probably have about 60 mil just sitting today, and probably access to more actually if we really needed a push. We think we can. We've definitely got firepower. I think the onus of all of this is on us. I've asked the question of both the equity market and also the debt market, please support us and back us in, and I'm very grateful for it. Now I think the onus is on us to deliver and actually use that capital carefully, sensibly, in a way that adds long-term value, short, medium and long-term value to the business.
And that debt refi rate is sort of half what it was?
Yeah, easily. So we were 15%, we were 10% cash, 5% payment in kind in the last year, so 15% going through your P&L. Today, we're under 7%. So there's a margin over bank bill swap. It'll be in our annual report, but I've been asked not to disclose it directly, but it's a very good rate. And it's the same. I've had a couple of people say, "What's the fishhook?" And there is no fishhook. Like, it's senior debt. It's secured against our assets. Clearly, it's senior secured. It's term debt, 3 years. There's no amortisation. The drawdown facility does have an undrawn line fee, though, so I should say that. But it's cheaper than raising equity, and it means I think our last raise that we did, we over raised what we needed, because I didn't want to be in a position where it felt like we were just a consistent come to market sort of situation. I wanted to do one and done. Ask the market for support. Grateful for that support. It wasn't a particularly easy actually time and execution for us that raise, unfortunately. But now, as I say, it's on us now. We have access capital. We don't need to ask for it anymore, for some time. Now it's really up to us to just be careful, measured, and deliver.
Well, the market reacted very favourably this week in terms of the share price, and it's on the sort of right trajectory, which is always a great thing. So just in concluding, just in terms of 2025, what sort of the key things you want to achieve in 2025? Yeah,
well, for me, so the driver of our business right now, and has been really since the start of ADT, is the growth of that commercial enterprise business. So it's building a pipeline of work that sees us grow, strongly, and that will be the engine that drives our organic growth probably really for this year. Certainly this financial year, given we're already over halfway through it. As we get towards the back end of the year, we will be looking to consistently speed up the deployment of what I think will be significant demand in this video guarding technology. And I draw people to the announcement we made last year of the creation of ADT guarding, the recreation or getting back into guarding for ADT and for signature security. And we're not actually getting physical guards. This is the video solution that we offer. And I think they're the key things that we are focused on, is delivery of organic growth. I think supplemented with that is anything that helps us unlock that growth. So, we did raise money to do acquisitions. You would expect to see that be a feature of the year. But that rate, speed, and timing only it's gated. We want to be in a position to execute. I've said consistently, the one thing I don't want to be remembered for, if I'm remembered at all, which is fine, is failed acquisition. I'm very, very cognizant of businesses that build by acquisition, M&A, the traps of it. And look, we have done well so far, and I think we've been careful. And I think the key is we've bought good businesses who have bought into what we're doing. I just want to make sure that we continue to keep the bar high on that. So that we don't, find ourselves and at any particular point caught with failed integration and things like that. So, well, it's certainly been very interesting watching the progress of the company over the last few years, and you've certainly ticked a lot of the boxes. We've got a share market that's perhaps going to look a bit more powerful this year, so we're hoping to see some further opportunity and gain there, and more people understanding what Intelligent Monitoring Group does. And thank you very much for joining us today. No, thank you, Rod. I appreciate your support and interest.
Thanks, Dennison.
Thank you.
Dennison Hambling, Managing Director of Intelligent Monitoring Group Limited. Thanks for joining us on the news desk at BourseTV. We look forward to further updates as the year progresses, and congratulations on your success today as a leading security services provider in Australia and New Zealand.